that was brought out was razor thin with regards to the killing of General Soleimani. And it seemed more of an overarching threat that General Soleimani posed, which we have known for quite some time if you've been following the Middle East in general. How do you think this is going to have, what type of lasting effect, if at all, will this have on the Trump presidency?
I think it's very scary to a lot of people, and it should be. The president really brought us to the brink of war based on, to your point, razor-thin evidence. And we actually now know that he's still not even sharing everything with congressional oversight, with the committees that they should be shared with. They should have gone to them before. They didn't. They didn't give them notification. And even now in the aftermath and briefing, they're still holding information back. So we really don't, there's very little insight into what is going on. We only know after the fact. And I think it goes to the political implications. It goes to a lot of people were nervous about Trump in the first place. Even people who voted for him were concerned that he had not great judgment and didn't take facts into account. And so I do think that it can double down on people's questioning him, even if they're thinking about potentially still supporting him in the re-elect. This only goes to show how bad his judgment is and how terrible and huge the impacts can be.
Sure, Michael, is this a moment that Democratic candidates can seize on with the fact that the Trump administration has, from what we are hearing, this razor-thin evidence to support the fact that they ordered the killing of General Soleimani? Is this something that they can seize on and go with as to why they think they would be better at running this country versus the president?
I think it's something that two Democratic candidates in particular, Yasmin, could seize on. Mayor Pete Buttigieg, because he is a veteran, he has experience in the region. And I also think Vice President Joe Biden, who has experience as a former vice president and years of experience as a United States senator. A big part of his candidacy has been talking about a sort of restoring America's position in the world, being careful and being methodical and objective in how we approach our foreign policy. I agree with Emily. I think the administration needs to be a little more transparent on this, though the evidence from what we have learned from some reporting was sort of, thin for the most part. I do wonder, however, if there were some concerns that if they did not act, maybe something could happen. And the only way to know those things, Yasmin, is for the administration to be transparent. And so I would beg the president to just be straightforward with the American people.
Wouldn't you think that if the Trump administration had evidence to suggest that if they didn't act, something would have happened imminently, they would have already presented that evidence? It would have already been out there?
If
Why
this was
hold
a
on to
typical
that
president,
if you had it?
If this was a typical president, I would probably say yes. But one thing I think we've all learned about Donald Trump is he doesn't do anything in a normal or orthodox way. So I honestly just cannot answer that, Yasmin.
That would only bolster his case. But, sure, Michael, that would only bolster his case.
I think conventional wisdom would tell us in many other instances Donald Trump should have acted in behaviors in the past that would have bolstered his case, and he did not. And so I'm not exactly sure why anyone would believe this moment is any different than any other moment in the past when you look at his history and behavior in totality.
Emily, he speaks about how former Vice President Joe Biden could basically find some support in all this. But he has sort of a complicated path when it comes to foreign policy with regards to the Iraq vote, which former Mayor Pete Buttigieg has pointed out with regards to former Vice President Joe Biden and where he stood on that Iraq vote. Could that turn to hurt him?
There's potential for it, but it's looking like voters actually are not super concerned with it at this point. They want somebody who has experience dealing with foreign leaders, can take all pieces into account. It actually is a question that I think that we, like in the media class, keep asking whether it'll end up being impactful, but it's not looking like voters are really hanging on to it. Basically what they want, I'm not sure exactly why. I think they feel like it was litigated maybe in the 2008 presidential primary debates on the Democratic side. But I think ultimately people want somebody who will be an antithesis of Trump, will be able to come in and stabilize the country, come in with new ideas. But also they just want to be able to turn the page and move forward. The number one thing when you hear from every voter in every state is they want a candidate who can defeat Trump. And so I think they are just doubling down on that sentiment so much that every piece of information that comes out about how the president acted is only reconfirming for people that we have to turn the page with the new president.
I've asked this question, Sir Michael, before, and I want to end on this because I think it's an important one. I wonder if national security